on your side starts now.
All mayhem. News 5 learning new details about the chaotic scene that played out in the Beechwood Mall on one of the busiest shopping days. Thank you for joining us. I'm Megan Hickey.
And I'm Frank Wiley. Shoppers inside the mall frightened, not knowing what was happening as large groups ran through the mall.
Thankfully, no one was hurt and there was no property damage, but why did it happen and what's the psychology behind such an event? Paul Kiska has been looking into that angle of the story and joins us live with more.
Well, Megan and Frank, while this chaotic event happened Monday night, while the chaotic event was planned on social media, why did it happen in the first place? A psychologist might hold the answer. When a large group of people ran through Beechwood Mall Monday, shoppers were scared and confused. There was no violence. Was this done just for kicks? Maybe. But what causes an idea like this by one or two people to blossom into a large group of 600 people causing chaos? Part of it is a contagious mob or herd mentality.
That it has that contagion effect about wanting to do what's cool or what's popular and wanting to fit in.
Carolyn Ivers-Landis is a licensed clinical psychologist at university hospitals. She told me some people in their teens and 20s want to fit in while struggling to create their own identity.
It's risky because of the way that teenagers are trying to figure out who they are, and they're trying a lot of different things, and they're trying to fit in. They don't want to be different than other kids. So this is a time where you are kind of wanting to go with the flow and wanting to do things, even if they're a little bit on the outskirts or on the outside of what other people would think is normal.
Many times, events like this are coordinated on social media, which can lead to a risky competition to outdo somebody, Ivers-Landis said.
I think that internet and social media is enhancing all of this. It's like this competition for who can come up with the latest thing.
A quick search of the internet shows one of the latest things, teens diving onto parked cars to create dents, then posting it. Ivers-Landis says many juveniles don't think how their actions could have repercussions down the road.
So something that you do now that might just seem kind of funny or fun later on could come back and haunt you in terms of trying to look for a job, and your employer sees that you are part of something that they don't appreciate.
Now, Beechwood police say there have been no arrests since Monday night's incident. Live in Beechwood, Paul Kiska, News 5.
Thanks, Paul. We're following breaking news at this hour. The Browns won't be moving to training camp in Columbus anytime soon. The team had been working on a deal to hold practices in Columbus beginning in the summer of 2018, but the team just announced that they will not be doing that. The plan was for the team and the city to contribute millions to expand a recreation center in the northern part of Columbus near the Ohio State campus. The team says it's best for their fans to keep their training camp in Northeast Ohio.
New developments on accused serial killer Sean Great.
Great had pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity in connection with the murders of 2 women in Ashland County. If convicted, he could receive the death penalty or life without the possibility of parole. He's due back in court January 6th. Great confessed to killing 3 women, but those cases are still under investigation.
Meantime, police tell us 48-year-old Daryl Creighton, that's the name of the man shot in front of a cafe in the 4100 block of Lorraine Avenue, happened yesterday morning. He was found on West 42nd and taken to the hospital where he later died. Now, police tell us tonight they're still searching for the shooter.
And threatened with a knife and tied up, an aggravated robbery at the Menor TJ Maxx last night that police are calling unusual.
Yeah, police told us and they told Tara Molina they need your help in tracking this man down.
Check out this surveillance video. This man, wearing an Ohio State hoodie, pulled up, a black scarf around his head, stole a bag of cash from the Mentor TJ Maxx after tying up the manager and threatening her with a knife.
So based on what you saw, it looked like...
I talked to a witness over the phone who didn't want to be identified, but told me he knew something was wrong the minute the man walked in the store, just by how he was dressed.
He said there wasn't a loud scene or any commotion here at the store, but some of the employees responded strangely, refusing to look at the man.
Mentor police say they're investigating every possible angle and exploring every lead while in the very early stages of this investigation.
Yeah, we've got some things to work with, and we've got some work ahead of us, but I think we'll find him.
Mentor police say there was a similar incident last week in Willoughby, and that is part of this investigation.
Right now, an Elyria man is recovering after his neighbor attacked him with acid. 55-year-old David Suchek appeared before a judge via video today after he was charged with felonious assault for throwing acid into the face of his neighbor. Following an ongoing dispute, police say the issues began about a week ago when Suchek threatened that same neighbor with a gun, but the incident was never reported to police. They say if it had been, this could have been avoided.
This is certainly, rare. Obviously, we certainly have our fair share of conflicts between neighbors, but never to where it gets to this point.
And in court, the judge ordered a safety evaluation for the Elyria resident to determine if he's at risk to harm himself or others. As for the victim, at the last check, we're told he's in stable condition at Metro's burn unit. And one man is dead after a crash in Medina County. It happened on Bell Road when the car went off the road and flipped several times into a field. You can see the red Solo cups littering the ground where the car was ripped apart. Officers say no one in the car was wearing a seatbelt and believe alcohol could have played a factor in the crash.
Well, police in Akron, they're investigating a robbery at the Cricket Wireless store on East Exchange. Now, they say a man, he walked into the store trying to steal cell phone cases, even chargers. When the employee confronted that man, well, he pulled out a gun, threatened everyone inside the store before running away with the items. I want you to take a good look at your screen right here. Police, they need your help in identifying the person who pistol whipped, then tried to carjack a man. It's at this speedway on Brook Park Road. Police say the robber could not steal the car because he didn't know how to drive a stick shift. If you know anything about this crime, call police. Mark J. Weather, we found the sun today.
A little bit of sun still out there right now. Sun's going down. 39 degrees, mainly clear skies. 37 Elyria, 36 in Worcester, 38 currently in Akron, 34 right now in Ashtabula. Look at all that sunshine over us now. Well, mainly clear skies. Watch, though, the clouds beginning to creep in from the west. They will thicken up, and we have some rain now. It should transition to snow, most of it anyway, by the time it reaches you and me later on tonight. So let's time it out. Wednesday, 8 p.m., we are dry, we are clear to partly cloudy, and then here you go. By midnight, we've got a band of snow moving in, some of it moderate to briefly heavy. And it doesn't linger too long, thankfully, so we're going to go with a trace to 2 inches of snowfall with some rain mixing in at times. By 7 a.m., we're mainly dry. You'll still have to sweep off the windshield of any snow that does fall, with temps hovering in the lower and middle 30s through the overnight tonight. We've got lake effect snow coming our way, and some rain and snow for your holiday weekend. More on that coming up.
All right, we've got sad news for Cleveland's Catholic community. The Catholic Diocese of Cleveland confirms Bishop Richard Lennon stepping down from his position effective immediately.
Dominique Ricks has been following this story, and Dominique, we're told the bishop's health is in decline.
Yeah, Frank, Megan, he made his health conditions public today, saying he was recently diagnosed with vascular dementia, a disease that causes memory loss. He went on to say, given the nature of the illness, his request to Pope Francis for early retirement was actually accepted. Lennon is 69 years old. The mandatory age for retirement for bishops in the United States is actually 75. The news of his illness does not come as a surprise. Earlier this year, excuse me, losing my voice. Earlier this year, Lennon underwent heart surgery. He had kind words to say about members of the diocese, asking the public to keep him in their thoughts.
I also wish to express my love for the faithful of this great diocese, whom I will remember daily in my prayers. In your kindness, I pray that you pray for me.
Lennon's request became effective at 6 a.m. today. Bishop Daniel Edward Thomas of Toledo will fill the role until Pope selects a new bishop. Now, Lennon faced a lot of criticism early in his career in that position because he wanted to consolidate churches that had declining membership. He was named the 10th bishop of the Cleveland Diocese in 2006. Live in the studio, Dominique Ricks, News 5.
Thanks, Dome. Late breaking tonight, the Obama administration is preparing retaliation efforts against Russia.
It's all part of the fallout over the meddling in the recent presidential election. All new tonight, a look at the steps the United States is planning and the potential fallout it could cause.
And one of the largest automakers in the country is being investigated over a potentially deadly problem. What we've learned about the cars on the government's list.
And one man talks about his holiday nightmare after his travel plans go bad. Real bad. Wait until you hear his story.
And remembering Carrie Fisher. Tonight we're learning more about the star's final hours. News 5 is back in 2 minutes.
New developments at 5. The Obama administration reportedly getting ready to punish Russia for interfering in the U.S. election.
The announcement could come any time now. This is some top Republican lawmakers brace for a showdown with Donald Trump. The issue, whether or not Russia actually interfered in the 2016 race. In recent weeks, Trump has dismissed those claims and instead questioned U.S. intel agencies in the process. Some top Republican lawmakers are convinced of Russia's involvement in the election, including Senators Lindsey Graham and John McCain. Crews have recovered the second black box from the Russian military jet that disappeared over the Black Sea. The box contains the cockpit's voice recorder. Experts have already begun analyzing the other box found yesterday to try to determine the cause of the crash. The plane went down Sunday with 92 people on board. Thousands have traveled to the crash site to help with recovery efforts.
Newly released surveillance photos showed the Berlin market suspect inside a train station in Milan. That was days after the attack. Authorities say 24-year-old Anis Amiri drove a truck into a crowd, killing 12 people, injuring 48 others. At a Christmas market that was back on December 19th, Amiri was killed in a shootout with police on Friday.
And tensions continue to rise between Israel and the Obama administration over a controversial United Nations vote. Secretary of State John Kerry worked to defend the administration just 3 weeks before the president-elect Donald Trump takes over. ABC's Kenneth Moden reports from Washington.
The fight against expanding Israeli settlements.
No American administration has done more for Israel's security than Barack Obama.
Secretary of State John Kerry defended the Obama administration's move to allow the approval of a United Nations resolution calling Israeli settlements in the disputed West Bank illegal. Kerry says the settlements, nearly 100,000 built since 2009, jeopardized the two-state solution between Israel and Palestine. But he also condemned Palestinian violence and terrorism.
If Israel goes down the one-state path, it will never have true peace with the rest of the Arab world. And I can say that with certainty.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called Kerry's speech skewed and obsessively focused on settlements.
Israelis do not need to be lectured about the importance of peace by foreign leaders. Israel's hand has been extended in peace to its neighbors from day one.
Netanyahu promised to provide proof to the next president that the U.S. orchestrated the UN vote. President-elect Donald Trump on Twitter, "We cannot continue to let Israel be treated with such total disdain and disrespect. Stay strong, Israel. January 20th is fast approaching."
The incoming administration has signaled that they may take a different path. That is for them to decide.
Kerry pointed out the Obama administration was following a U.S. policy on Israel that's been in place for decades and supported by the international community. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
New at 5, Russian officials blasting the New York Times for its report on the country's Olympic doping conspiracy.
The New York Times claims that the top 3 Russian sports officials admitted that their athletes were given drugs during the 2014 Olympics. But the Kremlin is pushing back against the claims, saying the government has never been involved in what the newspaper called institutional doping of athletes. They say the officials' words were misrepresented and that Russia's investigative committee is looking into the matter.
All right, go ahead and take a look at this right here. Interesting stuff, right? NASA, they snapped this image of the typhoon, Knock 10, as it battered the Philippines this week. They say the storm had weakened since making landfall Christmas Day. Knock 10, by the way, hit the area going 155 miles per hour. Weather Underground called it, quote, the strongest landfalling typhoon on record this late in the year, Mark.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Crazy weather.
No typhoons headed our way?
None whatsoever. In fact, we've got quiet weather right now. But we have a snowflakes headed our way.
Oh, you weren't supposed
and
to say
some
that.
rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's late December in northern Ohio, and it will include a little snow just to freshen things up. Let me show you Worcester.
That doesn't look like snow.
That's not snow. That's the sunshine, the remnants of the clear skies. Now notice here, I want to show you again the image here. We're looking west. Here are the clouds beginning to move our way. They'll be filtering in from west to east during the evening hours. 39 in Cleveland, 10-mile-per-hour southerly winds, 36 in Akron, a wind chill of 28, 36 in Worcester with southerly breezes, and Mansfield at 37 degrees right now. We are waiting for snow. We are dry. Frank, we are dry right now, okay? But waiting for snow, and you notice we got a couple of counties right here that are marked in blue. A lake effect snow watch does not kick in for another 24 hours. 6 p.m. Thursday through Friday night into early Saturday morning for a squall or two, which could give you 3 to 7 inches of snow, maybe a little bit more, where squalls persist through Geauga County and generally the southern 2/3 of Ashtabula County. We will keep an eye. Elsewhere, we should all see at least a little bit of snow, especially tonight, a dusting to maybe as much as 2 inches, depending on how much rain mixes in. 37 currently Elyria and Norwalk and Mansfield, 36 in Worcester and Canton and Ravenna. Youngstown also in the mid-30s. Dover, New Philly right now, the warm spot, sitting at 40. Your snowfall just tonight from the system coming in. Notice, here we go. We're going to see area-wide snow tonight, generally between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Some rain mixing in at times, and that could cut back on your snow totals. We're not expecting anything major here. 1 inch to 1.5 inches for Cleveland, a little bit more for Lorain. How about 0.7 for Sandusky? About 1 inch for Mansfield up toward Norwalk. How about Akron at about 1 inch? Canton, you might be in that 1 to 2 inch range. 1.5 inches for Ashtabula and Jefferson. So what's next tonight? It's a scattered mix. Rain mixing with wet snow. Depending on how much rain mixes in, I'm going to go with a trace to 2 inches of snow by sunset. And the window should keep most of the snow out of here for your morning commute. So that's good news. 37 tomorrow. Clouds with a few flakes. Should be a rather, quiet weather day. Northwest winds 5 to 15. But then we get a setup for lake snow with another trough coming in Late tomorrow, right around this time tomorrow evening, we'll begin to see that trough dropping in. That'll stir up more snow, all right, and then snow squalls Thursday night into Friday, and where those squalls persist, especially east of Cleveland, anywhere from 3 to 7 inches. Friday, a chilly day, 30 degrees. How about your 7-day forecast? Well, again, Friday, Saturday, we get some rain and snow mixing together, and then Sunday we'll show you maybe a little bit of rain early on near 40. New Year's Day, we'll move that over to Sunday. Notice by Monday we're back up into the 50s. 50s! Back to you. 50s.
50s. Coming up on News 5 at 5, the feds investigating one of the largest automakers in the country. The brake problem causing several crashes.
Plus, Amazon Access, why police say they need a man's Echo device to help solve a murder case.
U.S. safety regulators investigating one of the largest automakers in the country. They're looking into braking problems with 2007 to 2009 Ford Fusions and Mercury Milans. Right now, there are 141 reports out there of it taking too long for the car to even stop. Regulators say it may be due to a problem in the anti-lock braking system. So far, though, 3 crashes have been reported because of that issue. Baggage handlers, they have reached a settlement with United Airlines in a lawsuit over working conditions. Inspectors found workers were often forced to lift heavy bags or perform other functions while bending over, twisting, or reaching overhead. The Labor Department said handlers reported more than 600 injuries between 2011 and 2015. United Airlines has agreed to install more conveyor belts and to hire an expert on repetitive stress injuries.
Well, not so good news if you're in the market to buy a new home. New data from S&P CoreLogic Kay Schiller says U.S. home prices rose sharply in October. It went up to 5.6% from October 2015. That puts prices at their highest levels since the financial crisis. The October numbers do not include the sharp increase in mortgage rates that began after November's presidential election. Higher mortgage rates have a tendency to dampen price growth. And the penny, once again, a money loser for the U.S. government this year. The Wall Street Journal reports it cost 1.5 cents to produce each 1 cent coin in fiscal year 2016. It was about the same cost as last year, but this is the first time costs have risen since 2011. This year, the government lost $45 million on the penny. Well, still ahead on News 5 at 5, creative community, how controversial changes in a funding program could hurt the future of our local art culture.
Plus, remembering Carrie Fisher, how the legendary actress turned her hard times into humor. A look at the legacy she leaves behind.
To discuss how their future work will be funded. Sure, they're joining forces to discuss how their future work will be funded. They say Cuyahoga Arts.
It's 12 hours late in the middle of the night. Mike checked got a Spirit 50.
News 5 at 5 continues, brought to you by National Carpet Mill Outlet Flooring Superstore.
All right, time for a look at today's top stories.
Right now, we're learning more about the incident at Beechwood Mall the day after Christmas. Reports of a shooting on social media. Terrified shoppers out there. Police investigated the scene, found no act of violence occurred. Instead, though, what you see right there, a large crowd of 600 people. They gathered outside the mall. Officers forced to use pepper spray on the crowd to get them to leave. One possible motive for that incident, a prank.
An accused serial killer, Sean Great, has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity in connection with the murders of 2 women in Ashland County. If convicted, he could receive the death penalty or life without the possibility of parole. He's due back in court January 6th. great has confessed to killing 3 other women, but those cases are still under investigation.
And police, they're searching for the thief who tied the wrists of a manager at a Mincer TJ Maxx. Then he made off with cash. It all happened last night on Mincer Avenue. Investigators say that thief, he may be connected to another robbery. Anyone who knows anything should call police.
And we're known for a lot of great things in Northeast Ohio, but there's one attribute that always rises to the top, our art scene.
Yeah, tonight, turmoil among some of Cleveland's most creative minds. And tonight, Mike Brookbank joins us live in Cleveland. And Mike, local artists trying to rally together right now.
Yeah, Frank, right now here at Happy Dog at Euclid Tavern, they're here to discuss how their future work is going to be funded. They say Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, which distributes those public dollars, has just thrown them a curveball.
We started doing art back in the 70s. There was nothing like this in Cleveland.
Laura Dumm is talking about our thriving art scene.
And there's a lot of good, strong talent in this city.
She and her husband created this love letter to Cleveland mural back in 2013 with the help of taxpayer dollars.
The funds really help.
However, Dumm and other local artists worry that money may now be more difficult to get.
I think it's going to discourage a lot of artists.
Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, which distributes that money, just dropped its current individual artist grant program.
There was never any kind of dialogue. They just said, we want to change it.
Every year, the public agency distributes $15 to $16 million of money collected from the cigarette tax to the arts in Northeast Ohio. 2% of it goes to support local artists' work in the community.
That 2% should just be to let artists be artists.
But now the CAC wants to make sure that work connects with taxpayers, something the agency says its old program didn't achieve.
When you're being dictated about how that money is being used for artists, to say you must go and create art in a community that is going to make social change.
Dumm says under new ideas being tossed around by the CAC, in order to get that money now, her craft would take a hit.
We have to do things that are taking away from our time doing our art in order to learn how to give back to the community. That shouldn't be a requirement.
Now, the director of Cuyahoga Arts and Culture tells me that they do not want to stifle the work of local artists. In fact, they are all invited to the table to join in on this process as they craft this new grant program. It should be in place by mid-2017. We're live in Cleveland's Uptown neighborhood. Mike Brookbank, News 5.
Thanks, Mike. New information about what one Berea man is calling the flight from hell to Cleveland. Delayed, diverted, and then finally replaced with a bus. We first told you about this story yesterday, and that bus even broke down. News 5's Derek Waller is live at Cleveland Hopkins Airport. Derek, you've learned it could have been worse.
That is right. Hard to believe, though, because passengers were delayed as much as 12 hours getting home in the middle of the night. For their troubles, they were offered $50 vouchers. But one airline industry expert is shocked Spirit even did that.
Oh, it would be the flight from hell.
Video of anxious travelers trying to get off this plane, still far from their destination. Spirit Flight 440 from Fort Lauderdale was already hours behind schedule Monday and supposed to land in Cleveland, but high winds forced a last-minute diversion to Detroit. From there, Spirit rented buses. Headed home from a cruise, Stan Vozar and his wife finished celebrating their anniversary on a bus that broke down near Toledo.
Unfortunately, it's going to always be remembered as that plane flight from hell back home rather than our 45th anniversary cruise.
The discount airline offered an apology and $50 vouchers for an ordeal industry expert Benet Wilson says could have been worse.
They were flying on Spirit, so you get rock-bottom fares, but you also get rock-bottom service.
Spirit didn't have to offer anything since the issues were weather-related. But Wilson says with a new CEO, they're trying to turn around their reputation.
This $50 voucher and the fact that they rented these buses, that's kind of a big deal because if this had happened a year ago, those people would not have even got any of that.
But for Vozar, $50 toward another flight doesn't change much.
You think I'm going, at this point, the way I feel, I'm going to go and schedule another flight with Spirit Airlines? I don't think so.
And for Spirit's part, they did blame the weather, and just about any airline will tell you that they cannot control the weather conditions, but it's also up to each airline to decide how they want to deal with that issue. Live in Cleveland, Derek Waller, News 5.
And Mark, speaking of the weather, our friend Derek bundled up out there.
He's got the scarf on, the coat up. Yeah, we've got temps in the 30s now. Traditionally, that's the kind of weather you see in northern Ohio. We have enjoyed a lot of sunshine throughout the day, thanks to the high that's overhead. Now we've got clouds, though, beginning to creep in from the west, and they will thicken up throughout the evening hours, leading us to some of this. See this precip now, south of Chicago, moving into Indianapolis, and currently it is rain. Now, I do believe as this arrives overnight tonight, let's say between 10 p.m. and about 3 a.m. in the morning, we're going to see a lot of this transition to some wet snow, all right? And if you do get snow where you are instead of a lot of rain, I'm thinking a trace to 2 inches of snowfall by dawn. 34 Medina, 36 Worcester, 38 currently in Akron, 40 now currently Dover, New Philly. There's the system coming in. We'll track it in hour by hour, and then more lake effect snow coming up. More on that in a minute.
All right, thanks, Mark. A murder case in Arkansas is raising concerns with privacy advocates.
Here's why. Police, they want to use a man's Amazon Echo device to solve a murder case against him. Echo, by the way, is a speaker that can record your voice, which is then stored on your personal cloud. And that's what investigators want to access. Investigators contend it is potentially evidence in the case, but the attorney for the man under murder charges said Amazon should deny that request.
And it scares me that our criminal system is coming down to this technology, which is supposed to help our daily lives, and now it's being used against us. But what they're trying to do is rather novel, but it's a deep invasion of privacy, and I can't, as a defense attorney, stand for it.
Amazon responded, saying in part, it will, quote, not release customer information without a valid and binding legal demand properly served on us. Coming up on News 5 at 5, thank you for being a guard. That's not how the song goes, right? Why a South Carolina man wants to be a golden guard for Betty White.
Plus, it seems President-elect Donald Trump's transition into the White House is a bit of a bumpy ride. The recent roadblock he's run into and the latest remarks from President Obama.
All right, in my world of weather, the Arctic air is hinting that it wants to come back in, but here's 5 p.m. Wednesday. Notice we're in the 30s and 40s, so the Arctic air is to our north. Now watch, we get a front coming in tonight, and there's some cooler air. I'm thinking Thursday it's middle and upper 50s, or sorry, middle and upper 30s. And then here's a little tiny bit of Arctic air coming in for Friday, lows in the 20s and highs right around 30 degrees. But then we warm you up a little bit more for your weather weekend. More on that coming up. Stick around.
Back with breaking news, Debbie Reynolds has reportedly been rushed to the hospital, this after suffering a possible stroke. That news comes just one day after Reynolds' daughter, Carrie Fisher, died after suffering a heart attack. The 84-year-old was at her son's house in Beverly Hills this afternoon when someone from that house called 911. We will, of course, stay on top of this, bring you any new developments as we get them.
And fans are having a hard time dealing with Carrie Fisher's death, too.
Now, the iconic actress, known by most as Princess Leia in the Star Wars series, died at the age of 60 after a heart attack. Danya Backus shares with us how fans are remembering her for who she was on and off screen.
as fans of Carrie Fisher continue to process the news of her death.
I was stunned.
They also can't help but to share why they fell in love with her.
She was amazing. I mean, first she was Princess Leia, but then she was Carrie Fisher. You know, she was a role model for people with messed up lives.
Known by the world for her role as Princess Leia, her influence spread well beyond Star Wars.
I grew up going to that movie. I saw the first one in the theater, and it just makes me sad. I thought she was a really smart woman, feminist, said what she was feeling and thinking, fought for mental health issues, so loss all around.
Tributes to Fisher are happening across the country. In San Francisco, at Lucasfilm headquarters, a statue of Yoda looks down upon the messages left by her fans. And in Hollywood,
we've seen fans walking around and talking about her and having flowers, but no real place to actually go and set them down and pay their respects for her.
Fans looking to pay homage to the actress, surprised she doesn't have a star on the Walk of Fame.
We wanted to just create something where they can do that.
So they gave her one. And across the country in New York, people dressed in Star Wars gear, a way to honor the woman who they came to admire both on and off screen. Fisher's funeral arrangements are still being finalized. Her brother says we can expect her memorial to be a celebration of her life because Carrie always liked a good party. Danya Backus, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Meantime, Cinnabon is apologizing after posting a tribute to the late Carrie Fisher. It reads, "R.I.P. Carrie Fisher, you'll always have the best buns in the galaxy." After an online backlash, Cinnabon removed the tweet and it tweeted, "Our deleted tweet was genuinely meant as a tribute, but we shouldn't have posted it. We are truly sorry."
All right, the memorial outside pop icon George Michael's home, that is growing. Look at this right here. Friends and fans, they're paying tribute to the singer, leaving flowers and messages of love to a man who gave his life to charity. As the investigation into George Michael's death continues, a picture of his final years is becoming clearer. Friends of the pop legend tell us he had become somewhat of a recluse over the last couple of years as he battled to overcome the drug and alcohol problems plaguing him through much of his career.
To get better, you have to shape up. You have to stop the drugs. You have to get physically in shape.
Right now, the cause of George Michael's death is still being investigated.
Well, I guess we can all agree that 2016 has been a rough year for celebrity deaths.
Yeah, it definitely has been. But one South Carolina man wants to make sure his beloved Betty White is not next. Check this out right here. So he started a GoFundMe page to pay for him to stand guard over the beloved 94-year-old Golden Girls actress. He wrote, quote, "If she's okay with it, I will fly to wherever Betty White is. Keep her safe till January 1st, 2017. Last check, he raised more than $1,800 toward his goal of $2,000. He also wrote, if White does not want his protection, he will donate the money to a youth theater company in Spartanburg.
That's just creepy.
Yeah, right?
I don't know if she needs protection. She's a pretty strong lady, I think.
He said through 2017, January 1st, so 2016, too much to bear, right, for fans?
Right.
Hopefully she hangs on for another
No
few
doubt.
more days, and then she won't have to worry about that guy. All right, let's take a look at what's going on outside right now. We are tracking in some moisture. Right now it is starting off as rain. It's in the spot we told you to watch. Earlier on the Now, we didn't have a whole lot going on right here inside this circle, but it's quickly filling in with what's now rain. By the time it reaches us, it should begin to mix with and change over to scattered snow showers, and that could bring you a dusting to maybe as much as 2 inches of wet snow by tomorrow morning. Not a major winter storm, but enough to notice. 36 currently in Norwalk, 34 Medina, 38 in Akron, 37 currently in Mentor, Ravenna sitting at 33 degrees. Now we've got two systems providing us with a little fun here. Here's low pressure number 1, stirring up some moisture and throwing it our way. And here's the cold front here, right there. That's front number 2. That'll be dropping in as well. And over the next 24 hours, we get kind of a 1-2 punch. We get some rain and snow overnight tonight. Watch this coming in. Here we go, your hour by hour. Here you have it. Here's the front coming our way. That's primarily snow, but I can't rule out some rain mixing in. Again, a trace to 2 inches looks good. Front goes by, then a little trough drops in tomorrow late afternoon and early evening, and that's going to stir up more snow showers for us, and that's going to transition the snow to lake effect snow, and I think all of us see at least a few flurries tomorrow evening and overnight, and in the snow belts of Lake and, well, primarily Geauga and Ashtabula counties, southern Lake County, you could see several inches of accumulation by Friday night into early Saturday morning. Here you go, hour by hour. You notice you see quite a few raindrops in here, but I'm thinking it transitions to snow 10, 11 o'clock tonight, but can't rule out a little rain mixing in. Primarily by 5 a.m. it's done. That main band is through, but we'll still mention a few lingering snow showers and flurries through the day tomorrow before the next wave comes in tomorrow evening. Akron, Canton, same story, rain mixing with wet snow. Generally dusting to an inch or two of snowfall by dawn tomorrow. Notice the temps. They're not really dropping much. They're going to hover in the lower and middle 30s through the overnight, and then tomorrow we'll climb up to around, let's go 36 to 38 degrees. Here's the lows tonight, one more time. Generally lower and middle 30s, area wide. So tonight 32, a trace to 2 inches of snow will mix in a little bit of rain. Tomorrow let's do 37, cloudy skies. Primarily late snow, late afternoon and evening snow with that second trough coming in. Friday it's morning snow squalls, mainly east of Cleveland. Look at that high, 29. So there's your little burst of Arctic air briefly. Saturday, we're back up into the upper 30s, lower 40s with scattered rain and mixing with wet snow. Sunday should be quiet, a high near 40 to welcome in the new year, and then rain Monday and Tuesday of next week.
Bring it on. We are learning new information about the sheriff deputy who was busted for a DUI.
All new at 6, we're digging into his records. Tonight we've learned this isn't the first time he's been in trouble. And there's more, what we discovered.
And we are taking a look back at some of the year's most memorable stories. We relive Cleveland's excitement.
But first, when News 5 at 5 returns, the Trump transition, with President Trump taking office in just